At 2:13 in the morning, the station bell rang again. No trains had passed through Blackwater Station in almost 17 years. The tracks were dead, rusted solid, half swallowed by weeds and black water from the marshes beyond the trees. Nobody lived nearby anymore, nobody except Elias. He worked the night shift alone. Not because the station needed a caretaker, because the city forgot to shut it down. Every night, Elias sat in the old ticket booth under flickering yellow lights, listening to rain drip through the cracked ceiling and the distant hum of insects outside. Most nights were quiet, empty. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until you start hearing things that are not there. The bell was not supposed to work. The power to the platform had been disconnected years ago. But exactly 2:13 a.m. the bell rang once. A deep metallic clang. Slow. Heavy. Elias froze. Then came another. Silan. The sound rolled through the empty station like something waking up underground. He stepped outside the booth. The platform stretched ahead of him, swallowed by darkness. The overhead lights flickered weakly through fog creeping in from the marsh. Nothing moved. Train. No people. Just the bell swaying gently above the platform. Silange. This time Elias saw it. A figure standing at the far end of the tracks. Tall. Still. Almost hidden by the fog. His stomach tightened. Hello? No answer. The figure did not move. Elias grabbed his flashlight and started walking. The wooden platform groaned beneath his boots. Every step sounded too loud, too sharp. The fog thickened around him until the ticket booth behind him disappeared completely. The figure remained motionless, waiting. Then suddenly, it was closer. Elias stopped breathing for a second. He knew it had moved, but he had not seen it move. The flashlight trembled in his hand. Who's there? Still nothing. The face was hidden beneath what looked like an old conductor's cap. Dark coat. Long arms hanging unnaturally low. Water dripped from the sleeves. The station bell rang again. Cyan. And this time another sound followed it. Footsteps. Behind him. Elias turned sharp. Nobody there. But the fog behind him shifted slowly, like something large had just stepped out of sight. When he turned back toward the figure, it was gone. The platform was empty. The flashlight flickered violently, then died. Darkness swallowed everything. Elias stood frozen, listening. The marshes made strange noises at night, croaking water, wind through dead grass, but this sound was different. Breathing. Close. Wet. Right beside him. He slowly reached for the flashlight, slapping it against his palm until the beam returned for half a second. And in that half second, he saw dozens of people standing silently along the tracks. Men. Women. Children. All soaking wet. All staring at him. Their skin pale grey. Eyes black like flooded tunnels. The light died again. Elias stumbled backward, nearly falling off the platform. Then the station speakers crackled alive overhead. A burst of static screamed through the darkness. And a voice whispered, "Train arriving." The tracks began to shake. Not lightly. Violently. Metal screamed somewhere deep in the fog ahead. Elias backed away in panic. There could not be a train. The rails were broken miles down the line. But then he saw the light. A single dim headlamp emerging slowly through the fog. Too high above the tracks. Too large. The sound grew louder. Grinding steel. Shrieking brakes. The station bell rang non-stop now. Slang, slang, slange. The train crawled into view. And Elias realized something was horribly wrong with it. It was ancient. Black metal covered in rust and river mud. Windows shattered. The front of the engine crushed inward as if it had collided with something enormous at full speed. Water poured endlessly from beneath it. The train stopped in front of the platform with a long dying screech. Silence. Every door slowly creaked open. Inside, passengers sat perfectly still. Rotting luggage rested on their laps. Their clothes looked decades old. And every single face was turned toward Elias, waiting. One of them stood. A little girl, maybe 8 years old. Her dress hung soaked against her skin. She pointed toward the inside of the train, and in a tiny trembling voice she said, "You're late." The doors slammed shut instantly. The train began moving again, slowly at first, then faster, faster. The passengers never looked away from him as it disappeared into the fog beyond the station. And just before the final carriage vanished, Elias saw something written across the back window in dripping black letters. Blackwater Line Final Service, October 18, 1989. That was the same night the train had derailed into the marsh. 83 passengers died. No bodies were ever recovered. The next morning, Elias was found wandering near the tracks barefoot and delirious, repeating the same sentence over and over again. "They thought I was one of them." The station was demolished 3 weeks later. Workers refused to stay after sunset. Several claimed they heard bells ringing underground while tearing up the tracks. But the strangest part came afterward. When investigators searched the old records, they discovered something impossible. There had never been an employee named Elias assigned to Blackwater Station. Not once. Not in any year. The only Elias connected to the station was listed among the dead passengers from the 1989 derailment. Seat 10. Missing, presumed drowned. And every year since then, at exactly 2:13 in the morning, people living near the marsh still hear a train arriving where no tracks exist anymore.